The U.S. Senate will vote later today on Brett Kavanaugh's nomination to the Supreme Court. It appears that Kavanaugh will have enough votes to be confirmed. This, of course, follows sex assault allegations against Kavanaugh. Today's vote is happening less than 2 days after the FBI reported on its probe into those allegations. Now, joining us for more from Atlanta is Ginger Howard. She's the Republican National Committeewoman from Georgia again. So, Ginger, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Aarti, for having me.
Now, you have said that many other Republican women are angry about Brett Kavanaugh's nomination process. So what has upset you the most about what we've seen over the past week or so?
What has upset me the most is that in our country, we have a rule in our country that you are innocent until proven guilty. And what has happened to me and so many other conservative women across the country that we have seen, it's flipped totally on the opposite side, that you are guilty until proven innocent. And the allegations against Judge Kavanaugh are unsubstantiated. And on the 7th FBI investigation, he came out just as clear as he was in the very beginning. And how he was treated was so wrong, in my opinion, and his family, and still being treated, these protests and the violence and the anger. This is very concerning to me. That what are we teaching our children? That bullies can rule, that the mob rule can rule just because if you don't like someone's opinion on something? It's very concerning to me.
Now, Ginger, when you're using the term bully in this scenario, who are you saying is being the bully here?
I'm saying the Democratic Party and the protesters, that they're all the protesters in D.C. and all around. Did you see how Jeff Flake was treated in the elevator, and Susan Collins has had coat hangers sent to her office? I mean, things really that are beyond the pale have happened that are very disturbing to me.
I mean, some of those scenarios that you're talking about certainly, seem completely out of line. But would you say that these people, the protesters, are bullies, given the fact that some of them, in fact, are saying that they are survivors of sexual assault and are very emotional about that? They have been traumatized previously. And that is, for example, when we were talking about that incident with Jeff Flake, that's what that woman was approaching him, saying that she is someone who was sexually assaulted.
Well, I believe that woman also worked for a very liberal group funded by George Soros, from what I've read. So, but that beside the point, I am not discounting women who have been assaulted. That is quite the contrary. In fact, I think this has hurt even more the women who have truly been assaulted. And I'm not saying that Christine Blasey Ford was not assaulted at some point in her life, but I can tell you with assurance from what I have seen and what the FBI has shown that it was not by Brett Kavanaugh. So what I think is this is put us a step back with the women that truly were assaulted, and it's not giving them a true voice, because the old story of crying wolf, wolf, and then when it's really the wolf, you don't know what's true. That's what's disturbing about this. I'm a woman. I am absolutely for women coming forward when they have been wrongly treated, or especially raped, or almost raped, or whatever. It's awful, and I do not discount that at all, and that's what concerns me about this.
Now, you mentioned there that you don't discount what Christine Blasey Ford experienced, and that the fact that she may have had something traumatic happen to her. So what did you think of her testimony before the Senate?
I thought it was compelling at times, but not convincing. And there were so many holes in her story. And it also concerned me that so much of when she would stop, she had to have both of her lawyers kind of help her. And I feel like when I have had to tell a story or anything, you kind of know what you need to say, and you don't need to consult with someone over and over to see if you're going to get your answer right.
Have you had to tell a story, though, of this nature?
Not in a court of law like that. I mean, that wasn't a court of law, but not under penalty of perjury, no.
Or the nature of the story that was being shared, I suppose, as well.
Correct.
So now we're talking about the testimony. What did you make of Brett Kavanaugh's testimony?
I thought his testimony was so compelling, and I know that so many I've heard on the other side, his temperament and his anger. But what I felt was he was unjustly accused, and he was righteously angered. And I'm angry, and it's not even me. And when I watched him, I really saw an innocent man defending his integrity and honor. And the most moving part to me of the whole testimony, when he talked about his little 10-year-old daughter wanting to pray for the woman, that he had no ill will towards her, that to me was just, it increased my respect for this man even more. I thought it was very compelling, and I felt like his anger was justified.
Now, we know that this has been a very partisan issue, a very controversial issue in the era of Me Too as well. There has been a lot of heightened awareness and emotion surrounding it, as so many more women have been re-energized by this movement, as we've seen in those demonstrations. So my final question to you, Ginger, is looking ahead to the elections, the midterm elections that are coming up. How do you think this will impact people at the polls? How will women vote?
Well, I think it's energized our side. It's energized the women, the conservative women, because women who have sons and grandsons, and I have 2 nephews, and I'm concerned for them that they could be unjustly accused just because somebody says something against them. So I think on both sides, we are going to see not just women, men, everyone that is out voting because they know that our country and our values and our freedom is at stake here. So I think it's going to drive a lot of people to the polls.
All right. Well, Ginger, we appreciate your time today weighing in on this issue. That is Ginger Howard, a Republican National Committee woman from Georgia, and she joined us from Atlanta.
Thank you.